It was a glittering Friday night in West Hollywood, the kind where the air shimmered with perfume, laughter, and neon reflections. E.J. Johnson stepped out of his black SUV, the city's pulse matching his own. Dressed in a sequined deep-cut blazer, leather pants, and 5-inch heels, E.J. walked confidently toward Club Noir, one of the city's most exclusive venues. He had been there before. He had spent nights dancing under its golden chandeliers, toasting to life with friends, soaking in freedom. But tonight, something felt off the moment he approached the velvet rope. The bouncer, a tall man with a shaved head and a clipboard, barely glanced up. His eyes swept E.J. from head to toe, lingering with quiet disdain. "Sorry," the bouncer muttered, adjusting his earpiece. "Private party." "Guest list only." E.J. blinked, caught off guard. "I'm E.J. Johnson," he said, his voice calm but firm. The bouncer didn't flinch. "Doesn't matter. You're not the type we're looking for tonight." A silence hung in the air, sharp as glass. Zariah, standing beside E.J. in a flowing silver gown, clenched her fists. "What exactly is the type you're looking for?" The bouncer didn't answer. Instead, he waved in a group of tall, straight-presenting men and model-thin women. No hesitation, no questions. E.J.'s heart pounded, not from surprise, but from the familiar sting. The club's message was clear. You can be famous, rich, fabulous, and still be rejected for simply being you. If this moment caught you off guard, imagine what comes next. But before we go further, take a second. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss stories that matter. Back outside Club Noir, E.J. forced a laugh. "Let's go," he said to Zariah. But as they walked away, tears blurred his vision. Inside the car, E.J. sat in silence. The engine purred beneath them, the city's lights casting faint glows over his face. "Same story, different night," Zariah finally said. "I thought we were past this," E.J. murmured. "All the visibility, the interviews, the shows, it's never enough." "You don't have to prove yourself to people who already decided not to see you," she replied, but her words couldn't erase the ache. E.J. had grown up fighting to define his identity, not just as Magic Johnson's son, but as a person unapologetically himself. He remembered the nights he stood in front of the mirror, rehearsing how to walk in heels, how to face a world that would mock or belittle him. He had embraced his difference. He had found joy in it. But that night, all of it felt small under the weight of rejection. When E.J. got home, he sat on his bed for a long time. The sequins on his blazer glittered under the soft light, mocking him. He pulled out his phone, hesitated, then typed a tweet. "Fame doesn't protect you from bigotry. Tonight was a reminder." He didn't tag the club. He didn't name names. But the message was clear, and within minutes, the internet buzzed with speculation. In a city where acceptance is often just performance, E.J. had been reminded of a bitter truth. Sometimes the world only loves you if you fit into a box they've already designed. What he didn't know yet was that this moment of pain would set off a chain reaction and lead to a moment of unity, strength, and the most powerful act of love he'd ever receive. The morning after the incident, sunlight spilled into E.J.'s penthouse, but it felt dim, unwelcome. He sat by the window, robe wrapped tight, watching the city stir awake beneath him. His phone buzzed non-stop, texts, DMs, missed calls. The tweet had ignited something. Voices were rising in his defense, but he felt numb. Zariah arrived with coffee and no patience for pity. "You're trending," she said, setting the cup down. "People are finally listening." E.J. sighed. "They always listen when it's dramatic, when it's pain, then they move on." "No," Zariah said, kneeling beside him. "This one's different. This time you said it out loud and people felt it." He nodded slowly, but the echo of the bouncer's words still haunted him. "You're not the type." What type was he? Not straight enough? Not masculine enough? Not invisible enough? The question gnawed at him. His thoughts drifted back to years ago, to the moment he came out to his father. He had been 16, barely able to breathe, standing in the family kitchen. Magic had been stirring oatmeal, wearing Lakers slippers and humming. E.J. had rehearsed it so many times. "Dad, I'm gay." When the words finally tumbled out, Magic had stopped mid-stir, looked at him for what felt like a lifetime. Then he'd walked over, wrapped EJ in his arms and whispered, "You'll always have my love, no matter what." But love, even powerful love, couldn't shield you from the world's hate. That night's rejection wasn't new. EJ had lived through the microaggressions, the exclusion, the whispers, but this was public and humiliating, and it lit something inside him. He opened Instagram, scrolled through the messages, hundreds, thousands, stories like his, people thanking him for speaking out, sharing their own heartbreaks. One message caught his eye. "I'm 17, gay and afraid to be myself. Your voice gave me hope." "Thank you," EJ exhaled sharply. "This can't just be a tweet," he said aloud. "This needs to be something more." Zariah raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "Truth," he replied. "I need to tell the truth." Later that day, EJ sat in front of his phone camera. No glam, no lighting, just him, eyes tired, voice steady. "I want to talk about what happened last night," he began. He described everything. The cold dismissal, the feeling of being erased, the way the world still decided who was worthy of being seen. "I've walked into rooms full of applause and still felt invisible," he said. "But last night was a reminder that some people will never see me as enough. And if that's happening to me, someone with privilege, a platform, a famous name, imagine what's happening to the kid with none of that." He paused, looked down, then back into the lens. "This isn't just my story. It's ours." The video exploded. Within hours, celebrities reposted it. Activists echoed his message. Former club-goers shared similar experiences at Club Noir, denied for being too dark, too queer, too different. A whisper became a roar. EJ wasn't alone anymore. Somewhere across town, in a quiet office overlooking downtown LA, Magic Johnson watched the video. He didn't blink once. His son's pain echoed in his chest like a drum. He stood, grabbed his phone and called. "AJ," he said softly when his son answered. "I saw it, Dad." There was a long silence, and then Magic said, voice thick, "You showed more courage than I ever have, and I'm going to make sure the whole world hears you." Magic Johnson sat at his desk, the midday sun casting long shadows over framed jerseys and photos from another life. But his mind wasn't on basketball. It was on the pain in his son's voice, on the years he had tried to prepare EJ for the world, knowing deep down that some battles couldn't be avoided, only endured. He replayed the video again, each word cutting deeper. Magic had fought giants on the court, battled HIV in the media spotlight, rebuilt himself as a business mogul. But nothing made him feel as helpless as watching his son suffer for simply existing. No more. He picked up his phone and called his PR team. "We're going public," he said, "not with some corporate statement, with my truth." That afternoon, Magic posted an open letter to his millions of followers. It began simply, "My son, EJ Johnson, was denied entry to a club last night for being exactly who he is. This is not just about nightlife. It's about dignity. It's about the kind of world we want to live in." The message spread like wildfire. TV stations picked it up. ESPN, GLAAD. The New York Times ran a headline, "Magic Johnson defends son after public discrimination." Inside Club Noir's headquarters, Andre Mason, the owner, wasn't prepared. He issued a short, dismissive press release. "Club Noir maintains high standards. We regret any misunderstanding." The public wasn't buying it. Back at EJ's apartment, the phone rang non-stop. Requests for interviews, offers of support, even threats. He stayed off Twitter for a while, focusing instead on the people closest to him. Zariah was thrilled. "You realize what this means, right? You've cracked something open." EJ wasn't convinced. "What if it's just noise? Then let's make it more than that." That night, Magic came over for dinner. No cameras, just father and son. They sat in silence at first, eating takeout Thai food, neither knowing quite where to begin. "I should have been there," Magic finally said. "Not just last night, all the nights before." "You've always supported me, Dad." "I loved you," Magic corrected gently. "But I didn't always understand you. I didn't know how much it cost to be you. Until now." EJ looked at him, unsure of what to say. His father, the legend, was tearing up. "I had to unlearn so much," Magic continued. "The way I was raised, the locker room talk, the image of what a man's supposed to be. You forced me to grow. And I thank you for that." EJ reached across the table, took his father's hand. "Thank you for growing with me." The moment was fragile, sacred. The next morning, Magic went on Good Morning America. He didn't pull punches. "My son walked into that club with pride, and they told him he didn't belong. That's not just bad business, that's discrimination." He turned directly to the camera. "And if they think they can silence him, they'll have to silence me too." The internet erupted again. EJ watched the interview with trembling fingers. He had always known his father loved him. But this was different. This was armor. This was power wielded in his defense. Outside, the streets of LA were heating up. A protest was being organized. Voices were rising. People were no longer asking politely. They were demanding change. By the weekend, the streets outside Club Noir pulsed with energy. Protesters lined the sidewalks holding signs that read, "We belong, no more gatekeeping, and dignity has no dress code." The air buzzed with chants, car horns, and the rhythm of collective outrage. EJ stood behind a curtain on a small makeshift stage, heart hammering. Zariah adjusted his mic. "You good?" she asked. He nodded, barely breathing. "You don't have to prove anything," she said. "Just speak your truth." He stepped out. The crowd erupted. Flashes popped. Microphones surged forward. But EJ's eyes searched for only one face, his father's. Magic wasn't there yet. He stepped up to the podium. For a moment, all he heard was the wind. "I never wanted to be famous for this," he began. "I never asked to be the face of discrimination. I just wanted to go out and dance." Laughter rippled through the crowd, soft and sympathetic. "But what happened to me isn't just about one night. It's about every door slammed shut on someone because they were too feminine, too queer, too black, too real." He paused, gaze steady. "I was told I wasn't the type. But let me tell you something, there is no type when it comes to being human." The crowd roared. "I'm not just doing this for me," he continued, voice rising. "I'm doing this for the kid watching from their bedroom, wondering if they'll ever belong. For the teen afraid to dress how they feel. For the person told to tone it down to fit in." Applause swelled like thunder. "And I say this with my whole chest, we don't need to change to be accepted. The world needs to change to accept us." Suddenly the crowd parted. Magic Johnson walked through, calm and steady, wearing a black t-shirt that read, "Proud Dad." He climbed onto the stage, eyes wet with pride. The audience held its breath. He embraced EJ tightly, leaned in and whispered, "I've never been prouder." Cameras clicked like rain. Magic took the mic. "I've faced tough opponents in my life," he said, "but none tougher than the fight for dignity and equality. And I'm telling you now, I stand with my son and I stand with every single person who's ever been made to feel small." The crowd screamed with affirmation. Back inside Club Noir, Andre Mason watched the live stream in silence. His PR team panicked around him, urging him to release a second statement, to apologize more convincingly. He finally went on record that afternoon. "We deeply regret the pain caused. The employee involved has been let go. We are reviewing all internal policies to ensure inclusion and respect for all." But to many it felt hollow. At the protest's end, EJ and Magic stood side by side, posing for photos, giving brief interviews. But their most important moment came alone, behind the stage. "You didn't just speak up," Magic said. "You led." EJ smiled. "I think I had a pretty great example." As the sun dipped below the skyline, casting gold over the crowd, father and son stood hand in hand, not just united in blood, but in purpose. Something had shifted, not just for EJ, for everyone watching. 3 days later, Club Noir closed temporarily. A new sign hung on the door, closed for staff restructuring and inclusion training. It wasn't just cosmetic. Under pressure, they had fired Derek, the bouncer, and hired an inclusion officer. But to EJ, the damage wasn't easily undone. He scrolled through the latest headlines with a mix of satisfaction and caution. Public apologies were easy. Change was not. "I don't want to be a moment," he told Zariah over brunch. "I want to be a movement." And he meant it. In the weeks that followed, EJ launched an initiative called the Visibility Project, a partnership with LGBTQ+ youth centers, advocacy groups, and influencers. Its mission was clear: educate, empower, and demand better standards across fashion, nightlife, media, and business. Magic was the first major donor. "This isn't just for EJ," he said at the launch event. "This is for every child who deserves to walk into a room and be seen, fully, joyfully, and without condition." EJ stood beside him that night, hands shaking, eyes filled with a kind of pride deeper than validation. It was legacy. It was change, built on pain, but powered by hope. They toured schools, hosted panels, met with mayors and media heads. Zariah co-directed campaigns that featured real voices, real stories. One ad simply read, "We don't want your tolerance, we want your respect." One afternoon, EJ and Magic met again for dinner, just the two of them. No press, no meetings, just father and son sitting in a quiet Italian bistro downtown. Between bites of pasta, EJ asked, "Do you think things really change?" Magic wiped his mouth, thoughtful. "Sometimes they don't," he said. "But sometimes one voice makes others brave, and brave voices build new worlds." EJ looked down, then back up. "I'm glad I used mine." "I'm glad you taught me to use mine too," Magic replied. The two clinked glasses, no longer just family, but comrades in the same fight. As they stepped outside, the city felt different, not fixed, but awake. EJ spotted a group of teens across the street. One waved shyly. EJ smiled and waved back. He remembered being that kid. He hoped they'd remember this moment, that someone like them stood tall and said, "Enough." Later that night, EJ posted one final message on his platform. "Being seen isn't enough. We must be respected. We must be welcomed, and we will not wait for permission to belong." The comments flooded in, from celebrities, from parents, from teens in small towns, from strangers with shared wounds. EJ Johnson had walked into a club and been turned away, but he had walked out stronger, not just as a symbol, but as a leader. His voice, once pushed aside, now echoed through halls of power into hearts of the ignored. And beside him, his father, once uncertain, now unwavering, showed the world what it truly meant to love out loud. If you found strength in this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And don't stop here, click the video on screen to discover how another celebrity father transformed his beliefs for his child and changed thousands of lives.